So, as I'm sure at least some of you know, I was gonna say many of you, but I don't know how much you guys know. Anyways, a transgender teen named Leela had committed suicide recently because her uber Christian parents were extremely transphobic and were they pulled her out of school and forced her into extremely harmful conversion therapy because Leela was transgendered. And sorry, lips are really chapped. And it sparked a huge amount of discussion on, transgender rights and treatment and everything else. And, I've seen lots of posts where it's like, don't forget those who didn't make it to 2015 because today's New Year's, right? Well, where I am anyways, it's New Year's. I know people like over in Australia and Japan or whatever, it's not. But anyways, so, like, the kind of, people who didn't make it to 2015, and it listing, Leela Alcorn and Michael Brown and Eric Gardner and Tamir Rice and basically all these people who have died from discrimination, and it kind of really pisses me off that people have to die before anything is done about their situation or their people's situation. Like, that sickens me. I'm like, we should, it's kind of like the whole discussion of even like the suicide problem. Like, if you're depressed, people don't really put much merit into it and they find it kind of annoying or whatever. But then when you kill yourself, everyone's like, I never saw this coming. And it's kind of like there's not enough. And then, like, people say, well, the police are treating us like shit, but nobody says anything until the police actually kill someone, and even then, it just, why do we have to wait for someone to lose their life before we do anything about it? Why can't we solve the problem while people are still alive? Why do we need so many martyrs to make a point? I mean, transgender lifespan, the average lifespan for a transgendered person in the States is 30 years old. Not because of disease or anything, but because they get murdered or commit suicide. So on average, the longest they live is 30 years. Now keep in mind that doesn't mean they all live to be 30. It means that there's those who live all the way up to they die of old age at like 75 or 85 or whatever. And then there's a bunch of teenagers who die, and young adults and stuff like that. Because apparently I don't understand how someone could hate you so much for something that's so ingrained, a part of you, it's a part of you that you have no control over. How can you hate someone for being who they are, for having a different color of skin, for something stupid like that? Like, how could you hate someone so much for doing something that has no effect on your life whatsoever, and that they have done nothing wrong? How could you hate them that much? How can you hate it? Just like Martin Luther King said, judge me not on the color of my skin, but the quality of my character. I'm misquoting that probably, but you get the main idea. Like, judge someone on how they act and who they are and all this other stuff, instead of things like skin color or gender identity or sexual orientation or gender period. Like, why is it that I don't understand how people can hate other people so easily for such stupid reasons? I mean, life is short. You don't have, like, why are you wasting it holding so much hatred in your heart? Like, hatred is like holding a grenade and expecting someone else to blow up or something. I'm misquoting that too, but hatred is poison. Like, The less you hate, the happier you'll be. The more you love, like, 'cause it's not like if you give away love, you'll lose love or whatnot. It's kind of giving love is how you receive more or how you feel more, and giving hatred is how you feel more hatred. In basically, like, what you spread around is spread around you. So if you're spreading love around, you'll be surrounded by love. If you're spreading hate around, you're gonna be, I think I said spending by accident, spreading hate around, you'll be surrounded by hate. So, and the worst is when people use things like religion as their excuse for hatred. Like Christianity, for example, is a freaking asshole for this. Like, all God taught all Jesus taught, and he's supposed to be, you know, Son of God, you know, God's representative, or one with God even, you know, the three aspects to God, that they're all one and the same type deal. He just was completely dismissing all the bullshit from the Old Testament. People were saying, well, according to the Old Testament, we should do this. What do you say? Don't do it. Like, he was just so completely about loving one another and not judging them for something they have no control over, and, you know, helping those who have been outcast by society for stupid reasons. I mean, at the time, lepers, people with leprosy, would be tossed out of society and forced to live in recluse in the edges, like in caves and shit, and he went to them, and he accepted them. Mary Magdalene was a sex worker, and when they were going to stone her, he said, don't, because you're no better than her, because you're not perfect either, like. So, and somehow people manage to forget these things. Like, all God taught was to give everything you have, all Jesus taught was to give everything you have to others, and to spread love around, and not to hate anyone, because you're not perfect either, and that's okay. Humans were made to be flawed, and it's because of our flaws that is part of why we're so beautiful, is because we're able to learn and strive and move forward, because we make mistakes, and so we can push past them, because the only way you can learn something properly is learn how to do something, is to learn how not to do something, and by making mistakes. And it's because of our unbounding emotion that we have all sorts of problems, sure, but it's also because of that unbounding emotion that we have so much beauty too. Because you can't appreciate love without experiencing hate. You can't appreciate happiness without experiencing sad. It's because of the negativity that we are able to recognize the positivity. But people kind of forget that, and they get obsessed with the negativity. We're flawed for a reason, and there's nothing wrong with being flawed, as long as you're able to recognize that nobody's perfect. You're no better than your neighbor. Love thy neighbor as yourself, right? Okay. I got a little cheesy, I guess, in this. And while I'm Wiccan now, I converted to Wicca later in life. I was raised very Catholic, so I know all about Christianity. So, and really, I've used to have to go to church every Sunday, and I went to a Catholic elementary and high school, and it was just God and Jesus everywhere. Okay, I'm just gonna leave you with one last note. My mom, when I was a kid, my favorite saint was St. Francis of Assisi, mostly because he was known as the patron saint of animals. But one thing one of his quotes that I love, that my mom loves too, is that she taught me was, yes, preach God's word to the ends of the earth, but only when absolutely necessary, use your words. Which I like, because instead of just, claiming out, like, Jesus, God, be a Christian, save your souls, blah, 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 it's saying, show them instead of telling them. Because actions speak 10 times louder than words. And besides, God hated those people who were all preachy and like, oh, look at me, I'm praying, I'm a Jesus worshiper. Remember what he did to that dude? He was all like, yo, look at me, I'm he's like, no, he's compared to the little tax man who was in the corner going like, I'm so sorry for everything, really quietly and ashamed, and the other guy was like, look at me, I'm so amazing, I worship God, look at that disdainful tax man, and all this other stuff. It's like, no, Jesus is like, no, the little tax man huddling in the corner praying and feeling humbled, feeling the humility, is gonna go to heaven way more than the guy preaching about how amazing he is because he worships God. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.